confusion tonight about the actual room itself and everything. It's set up different. They, ended up saying that they did not have a record that said that we were gonna be here tonight, even though we've been here every first Tuesday. And this
Have they
is,
changed ownership again?
you know, this happens. At Metro Lina, this meeting that I just had at Metro Lina, I had somebody come from Colorado, and we ended up showing up, and this was a big hotel that had like 6 ballrooms, and they had rented the ballroom out for a wedding. And so I came in and I said, "What's up?" I said, "You know, we've been here for 6 years since it became the Sonesta, and before that, 20 years in the same hotel. It was a Crown Plaza before that, and before I even bought it." And they said, "Well, when it changes new management, then they only have to honor your contract for 3 months. And then, if they get better offers, then, you know, they don't have to suffer financial loss because of what somebody else had signed previously." Well, here's the deal about this place. The reason why I chose this place was because when it was brand new, then they didn't really have a lot going on here. And these were, you know, 40, 50, 60 person rooms, which was just what I was looking for at the time. So and when I came in, I negotiated to where we'd do a 12-month to 24-month contract, and that they would have a long-term person that was in there. Well, so everybody knows that there's a Braves game on tonight, and so, so basically what's happening is they can make more money off of parking than they can end up, you know, making off of the roof. But anyway, so the more that this became popular and people found out that it had a meeting space here and it's right next to the Battery, then they obviously started upping their price. The more it got popular, and the more people that are coming in going, "Hey, do you have meeting space to rent?" Well, so the person who ended up first signing at a reasonable rate and everything, now when somebody's coming in and they're able to charge 3, 4, or 5 times what they agreed with me 2 years ago, then they're going to end up taking the higher dollar. And that's basically just business. Now, I hate that because at the Sonesta Hotel, I was paying $950 a night to end up renting that, and that was for 4 hours, 6 to 10. And the thing is that it was a giant size hotel, and before COVID, then we had 150 people in there. So they just kept my contract going. Well, I had to go back in and try and renegotiate, and I tried to renegotiate. Well, the only way that I could get less than $950 a night was to end up taking a smaller room. And then when I took the smaller room, then it changed where everybody was used to going to. But then as the bigger rooms started getting taken up, then the people would say, "Well, okay, well, I'm still willing to pay this much, but get me a room." And so they would kick our event out if they had a higher paying event that wanted to pay the same thing. So it's a good thing that real estate contracts don't work like that, because and maybe sometimes this does happen to where somebody puts something under contract and then somebody else comes in and says, "I'll pay you twice of that." Then, you know, chances are that they'll sell it. You know, some people won't because they're bound by a contract, but, you know, the people that know how to get around it, you know, I mean, sometimes it's more trouble trying to fight something. You're gonna spend more money than if you just end up, you know, taking the loss.
Well,
So,
that's why we got carry permits.
yeah, that's true.
Solve that problem.
Yeah. So, anyway, So, right, there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about tonight. One's gonna be the mold class, that I wanna set up. People have been asking me, for months, when are you gonna do another mold class? And so, I decided that I would put together one now. And, so we're gonna have to decide whether we wanna do it, either on a Thursday evening or a Saturday, or do we wanna do it on a Zoom? And what we're gonna have to decide, and we'll decide it before we leave tonight, we're gonna have to decide, and everybody's gonna have to agree to it, because if there's only gonna be 10 people, which I want there to be 10 people to be in it, in other words, so that it's worth it for everybody to actually do it, and go through the expense of having a place to do it, then the thing is, we all have to decide that we're gonna do it at the same event place. So either the hotel, or on a Zoom. Okay, so, we'll have to think about that. What?
Well, if you're gonna do it on a Thursday, you might wanna talk to Hudson Grill.
Right. The only thing about that is, if North Metro goes to Hudson Grill, then they could end up, confusing us with somebody else.
He's leaving there.
Oh, okay. All right, well then, that's a thought. So that works. Okay, yes.
But if you're doing a class, the Hudson Grill is so noisy, you can hardly hear anything. I don't know, like, I went to a meeting last month, I met, I couldn't hear anything, but you have so tough,
Well,
time, and
but
if you're doing a class.
Okay, but the thing is, when you were there, there was a celebration for, can I finish?
Sorry.
Okay, for a graduation party.
Yeah.
That was going on, that was right next to the
That would make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, big time. And if it's not late in the evening, okay, if you do it at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, then you don't have the evening crowd.
Right, okay. And, if I do it on a Saturday, then it's gonna take 4 hours. So we need to end up deciding, do we wanna do it from 9 to 1, or do we wanna do it from 12 to 4?
It was 12 to 4.
Yeah, if you're doing it on Saturday, 12 to 4, yeah.
Does that sound good with everybody? Okay.
And nobody has to get up and fight traffic and.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was gonna end up doing that. See, I used to end up taking the whole day to do it, but I had 100+ people in the room, and everybody during the mold class, even though it's gonna be answered at some point, because it's an EPA thing, and they're gonna make me be redundant on a bunch of stuff, we do end up getting to the questions. But when you have over 100 people in the room, then people always ask a bunch of questions, and once one question gets asked, then it starts a series of questions, so, especially in the mold class. So, but if you're limiting to 10 to 15 people, in the room, then you can easily end up fielding the questions, and I can actually end up saying, well, that's actually gonna be covered in the next section, cause it's in 10 little sections. So that way we can end up, making sure that that's done. But here's one of the things that I wanted to do, okay? Anybody out there heard of Mr. Landlord, Jeffrey Taylor?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, so, they've asked me to speak again at another one of his conventions. And a lot of times it's a cruise, but since COVID, a lot of times he does a destination, convention now. So, most of y'all know that I end up speaking on rehabbing for 50% off, and how to act as your own general contractor, and where to get, the workers and materials and stuff for a discount, and how I, as a general contractor, hired people out for years, and what kind of properties am I buying these days, and where am I at? Well, in this particular case, he wanted me to end up covering what rehab stuff do I do different now that I'm one of the people that's over 60. And a lot of the people that are in the arena these days are above, 45, 50, 60 years old. And we've been doing it for years and years and years. And we've been programmed to fix things up this way. He ended up saying, well, now we're having a new generation of people coming up that are younger investors and stuff like that. What are you doing different to go after the people that are renters? Because see, he is a landlord. That's why he's called Mr. Landlord. It's all about rentals. Everything, they don't talk about fix and flip. They don't talk about anything except for buying to rent. Okay, they're landlords. And everybody that comes to it is a landlord and they rent. So what they want me to end up putting into my presentation is, what do I do different now that I did not do, so that I end up appealing to the younger crowd that's coming up? Okay, so here's some of the things that I'm gonna throw out, and then what I want y'all to do is, whether you agree with what I say or not, I would like to hear your opinions on what you think. After you hear a couple of things that I say, I wanna hear what y'all think would be good, all right? So here's some of the things. All right, my son just ended up doing a couple of big properties that were high end, and one of the things that they did was, anywhere that you were going to be sitting in an area, then all of the plugs that you would have, the outlets and stuff like that, now they ended up adding to where it had USB plugs.
Yeah.
Okay, so anywhere close to where you're gonna be sitting, anywhere close to, there would be a desk or something, make sure that you have USB plugs.
Been at my place for the last several years.
Yeah.
Bars and
Okay.
bedrooms, yeah.
Yeah, so make sure it's got USB plugs in the sockets, your electric sockets that are gonna be throughout the house. It doesn't have to be in every single one, but obviously, you wouldn't necessarily, do it in the bathroom, but you would do GFI, you'd put the ground faults in there, but, so that was one of the things. Something else, not necessarily Ring cameras and stuff like that, but, see, Ring cameras and things like that, they require a subscription or an ongoing fee. Okay, nowadays they're talking about, well, we're internet savvy. We know, we do a lot of stuff as far as data type stuff. They're a lot smarter with being able to handle things electronically than some of us older people. Okay, I have a problem with computers and stuff like that. So you can end up putting in these doorbell cameras and security cameras that film stuff from the outside for security, and they can end up being right to their phone. So it would be that, as opposed to, they don't wanna spend unnecessary money, okay? They don't wanna spend money on subscriptions that they can end up logging in and put it on their cell phones and be able to monitor it from their laptops or their cell phones. So that's something that they ended up doing, okay? They want things like, we ended up having, in the old days, the clapper. Turn the lights on, turn the lights off and everything, okay? They want something, if you're gonna have, it's not necessarily what you call a smart home, because a smart home, they end up thinking that there's gonna be some way that somebody can keep an eye on what they're doing. Or actually, they don't want cameras inside the house, okay? But what they do want is they want to be able to control. And I've seen it in some movies and stuff where people come in and there's a control panel in there, and they can end up actually either keying in and the lights come on, the fireplace lights up. the stereo turns on. So that they're gonna want things automated, okay? Some of the movies, they're even better than that, where they're voice activated. Where, you know, I've seen Sylvester Stallone come walking in a movie, and I think it was with, Sandra Bullock or something like that. And they walk in and they go, lights, and the lights come on. You know, fireplace, and the fireplace comes on, stuff like that. So it has, voice activated, okay? The other thing is, they don't like getting in and out of cars to end up opening garage doors and stuff like that. So, remote control garage doors, all right? Now, I've seen to where people, even now, are these days, when they're replacing a garage door, they're not replacing it with a remote control garage door opener. And they're doing it to save money. Because if they're gonna just sell the house anyway, they're you know, they're trying to save money, because once they flip it, they don't care what the other person does. But I think that it's only $30 or $40 or $50 difference to end up being able to do it. The other thing is that they like public transportation, okay? They love public transportation because they don't have to drive themselves, okay?
Take the phone away.
So you wanna make sure that your location has lots and lots and lots of, transportation around that they can end up doing. The other thing is they love to socialize. They love to socialize, so it's gotta be a place that's happening, okay? Within short distances, there's got to be places that they can go and eat, places that they can go and hang out with people, places that they can go and socialize. The other thing is that so you've gotta make sure that DoorDash comes, okay? They're all about having things come to them. So you gotta make sure that DoorDash and all of that stuff, is available in the area. One of the other things is, they don't like to end up going grocery shopping. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but one of the easiest things that these people do now is, let's say that they're a young couple and they've just had a baby or two, okay? We all, some of us, are familiar with dragging 2 or 3 kids and everything through a grocery store and, you know, having all this trouble and everything, whereas nowadays, they don't do that. They end up having, you know, help come in and you know, nannies and whatever these days, and they end up making a phone call, and once a week or twice a week, they end up having groceries delivered to their house. Okay? Yeah, all the Krogers, all the Walmarts, all the Publix and everything are gonna have these subdivisions, they're gonna have these amenities, okay? The other thing is, all right, and y'all comment with me back and forth on this, okay? There's a lot of people out there that say that it's cheaper to rent than it is to buy. And so there's a lot of people that are saying that the new generation coming up would prefer to rent as opposed to buy, because they don't guarantee that they're gonna be in the same place 3 years from now, much less 30 years, whereas we used to end up getting a mortgage and then go on from there, you know? We sit down roots, okay? They end up not necessarily wanting the roots to end up doing this, all right? So do we all agree with what I'm saying here? All right, so now that we've said that, what am I missing? Is there anybody out there that knows what I'm trying to say and can add to what's going on? Now, the other thing is how many of you wrote that crap down that I just said?
I live that stuff, so I do that all the time.
So did anybody write that down so that I can remember all the things that I
Days recorded. Wait, you're being recorded.
said? Okay.
A lot of that
It's there
generation
forever, on record.
can't fix anything simple, like, you know, the toilet paper thing falls off, they don't have what it takes, they're not mechanically inclined
so we're gonna need to have either a handyman or a property, a property management
Or
company.
a list of your vendors, like
Okay.
you have a plumber, you already have a plumber number on file, you already have an electrician number on file,
Okay.
or whatever.
Alright, so probably the best idea for that is if you're gonna be in the rental market and everything, it'd be good to have, somebody that was a management company, so they handle all that for you,
Call Richmond Road.
okay? Rich Monroe,
Yeah, 'cause
okay,
they
yeah, he's
don't
one
have
of the people.
patience, so.
Yes,
Well, I don't know, y'all tell me if this is right or wrong or whatever, but there's an affordability problem, and young people can't buy their first house, but I keep thinking about the post-World War II era. The houses were like 800 to 1,000 square feet, 3-bedroom, 1-bath houses, and that's where people raise their families. You may have to start doing that.
right,
That's what I was raised.
You may just have to crowd in there, you know.
yeah, okay, so, yep, you know, don't be afraid to buy the smaller houses
Well, don't be
because,
afraid to build a neighborhood of them.
yeah.
Yeah, and they're minimalist too.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, and one of the things that I've noticed, and, Tom,
200K.
Tom ended up sending me a couple of these houses that were out in my area in Eatonton. And these properties are 2-bedroom, 1-bath houses out there. And, they're selling for, $79,000 is the asking price, but they need some work. And they're 2-bedroom, 1-bath, but they're on a pretty good piece of property because they're older houses, okay? Old school, then I'm thinking, you need to end up knocking out a wall and putting in a second bathroom
And a bedroom.
at minimum, if not a bedroom and a bathroom, to whereas, you know, if you got a couple of people that are young and they're not planning on living there for a long time, then maybe they do a roommate thing. Maybe the 2-bedroom, 1-bath would be ideal because it's less money and, you know, a shorter term lease contract. Instead of always looking for 2 years plus and everything, keep in mind that, you know, the 12-month lease, which a lot of us wanna end up not doing because, you know, you're having to redo the house every 12 months. You know, it might be worthwhile to end up having a little bit more rent, that you charge and do a 12-month lease.
They don't stay either.
Yeah,
As soon as that next opportunity, or they're chasing money, or
Right.
or whatever, they're gone. They don't understand that, look, you signed a 12-month lease. and
right,
You still got 6 months of that left. They're flighty.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, she was saying that they're flighty, so, you know, you're gonna have to put something in your lease, to end up protecting yourself. Go ahead, Joe.
Your big competition right now is hotels.
Okay,
Hotels are going into monthly, 90-day, 6-month contracts for rentals.
short-term
And
rentals.
guess what? They've got restaurants around them, they've got everything you're talking about. And the hotels has dropped dramatically in their room rentals. And they're the biggest competitor on that market right now. And
Okay.
they're eating it up all over the damn country.
Right. Now, I have seen that there's a lot of hotels that are turning, a portion of their hotels into buyable rooms, to where you can buy them and you can rent them out through the actual hotel. So you can literally end up buying a hotel room and actually pay them to rent it out for you. They would manage it for
Yeah,
you.
like condos.
Yeah, it's very similar to a condo situation, and I have seen that coming up.
Your 2-bedroom, 1-bath might be a great thing for some of the seniors to do that need to downsize as well, so that might be a better way to market that Eatonton stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah,
for
that is-
79 grand.
That's a good thing, cause see, what I've always ended up telling people is, you know, they've got these 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses with fenced yards and all that, but they're empty nesters and you know, maybe one of them is, you know, getting a little failing in health, stuff like that. I know that my father, he had a 5-bedroom house. he lived till he was 94. My mother passed when she was 70. So, my father lived in a 5-bedroom house by himself for,
20 years.
yeah, 25, 30 years. So the thing is most people were afraid to sell their houses that they had paid off in full over a 30-year
Yeah,
period,
for free,
because
yeah.
if I sell it, then I'm gonna have to pay just as much to end up moving to someplace else because the price of houses was skyrocketing. Well, it's just like Joe over here said, the other Joe. And so, that would be a great thing to end up selling a house that was $400,000, move into a house that's $100,000 after repairs. And, then they've got $250,000 as a nest egg that they can end up,
Or the kids can afford to buy them a house to put them in as they age.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that's good. Anybody else got anything else before we end up moving on?
Office space, I've had a couple guys that we've done the top floors
Yes.
in condos.
Okay, that is another thing, strip shopping malls that are going out of business. Okay, if you end up seeing strip shopping malls that are going out of business, don't be afraid to buy one of those things, because there's a lot of things that you can do with them, okay? Strip shopping malls do not have to be retail, all right? Don't end up not buying one of these because you think, well, I'm not gonna be able to put a shoe place in there. How am I gonna end up getting somebody in there to sell dresses? How am I gonna get somebody like the Gap to come in? But if you were to buy a small strip shopping center, then why don't you end up getting it fixed up and end up advertising it as office space for dental, for hair cutting, cosmetology, just anything like that. There's loads of things that can be done.
Fitness centers, gyms,
Yeah, hair and nails, dentistry, doctor's offices, chiropractic. Just think outside the box for some of these things. Because there's gonna be a lot of those places that are going to be, dirt cheap, because people think that there's so many of them and there's nothing that you can do with them. Buy them and put something in them that is not necessarily retail. The other thing is, turn them into condos. If it's flat and everything, take the glass fronts out of them and put a facade on the front, to where you can end up turning it into, to where it's got real windows and real doors coming in, and turn it into basically living area.
I'll take all of those strip malls as a donation to my nonprofit.
There you
And
go.
I'll fix it up for homeless veterans.
Yeah, see,
And they'll
that'd
get a
be-
tax deduction for the retail value.
That'd be
whatever
great.
Comes out.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of things that are out there that can be done. So, all right, so that was one of the things that I wanted to cover was, these things about, the new generation of investor coming up, and, where we should be putting our thoughts into. So, if home ownership is going to be harder and more expensive and all that, then renting is going to be a good option, because there's gonna be more people out there that don't want the permanent, mortgage type thing. So, and you need to pay a little bit more attention to, the needs of the younger people that are gonna be coming up and populating these rentals.
The best advice I would suggest is that you think of all your tenants as customers.
Right.
How do you get to keep them? How do you keep them paying the money they're paying and increase that over time?
Right.
There has to be a reason for all that to occur. And if you don't think of your tenants as customers, then you're not gonna be able to compete with the rest of the market.
Right. Okay, that's a good point. All right, any questions or anything before we move on? Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
I'd like to see that basic, rehab course sometime you do.
Okay,
I'll take that.
all right. We are in the process of putting that to where, it's in small sections and everything, and, you'll be able to, being a member here and everything like you always have been, then you'll be able to access that, right there online and end up watching portions of it. So it'll be good. And some of the new stuff that we had done, Jeff ended up filming me doing a bunch of stuff. Oh, and the other thing was is that Jeff and I went out looking at some properties. We were just driving for dollars, as we call it. Everybody calls it like that. And y'all have heard these stories about people saying, yeah, you know, we were just driving around and everything, and for some reason, this particular house caught our eye, and there wasn't a for sale sign, you know, and I know my brother Tony finds these things all the time, and he teaches it and everything. But Jeff and I were looking for a particular